I was like, what is happening? Hey, everybody. Thank y'all for joining. Another Tuesday night with Candid Conversations from the single place. From the single place, y'all. I'm trying to get it together tonight. I don't know what's going on. Had a little technical difficulties, but I am glad that you guys are on with us tonight. Listen, I'm super excited, y'all. I am super excited just for various reasons, okay? I want y'all to go ahead first before I start off with anything. Go ahead, like and share this broadcast and let someone know that we're on. Listen, we want to raise our numbers tonight. We want to get people on because we're going to have some conversations tonight, okay? I want to say it like Larry Reed says it. I got to get my own little slogan, but I love when he says this. He said, let's have the conversation, okay? And I hope y'all ready because we coming with it tonight, all right? So I want you guys to get ready. I see some of you all are jumping in. While you're jumping in, say hey to us. Let us know that you're watching. Again, go ahead and share. Let somebody know that we are on. And I'm so glad that you guys have joined us. And we're looking forward to an exciting night of just conversations. Okay, that's what this is about. We just want to talk, and I'm looking forward to it. I want you guys to chime in, comment. Give your input and all of that as we always do every other Tuesday. So again, I'm really excited to have you guys on. We've been doing this show now for this is our fourth episode, and every other Tuesday we're finally getting to a more feasible schedule, and where we're able to come on more frequent, well, at least on every other Tuesday as we had initially planned. So I'm excited about it, guys. Okay. And we're on YouTube. We're on Facebook. Okay. If you go on YouTube, official Stephanie Renee. And if you're on Facebook, it's official Stephanie Renee for one of my pages. And then the other one is Stephanie Caldwell. So y'all go ahead and share and let people know that we're on, okay? And get in the comment, get in the box, okay, and start talking to us. One of the reasons, y'all, I'm excited because some of you all may know, some may not know, but your girl graduated this past Saturday, okay? I graduated from Beulah Heights University with my MA in leadership. And I am so glad. I'm so grateful for one that, God allowed me to get that done. Of course, anybody who's been in school, you know how tedious it can be, especially when you're an adult and, life be lifing and you got all these other responsibilities and everything. But I'm so glad that I was able to get through that. And your girl walked the stage, and I'm just so excited. Okay. And in addition to that, I started a new job on Monday. So I had a lot going on, but it's all good and it's all God. And I'm just excited. Okay. You guys comment, let me know, tell me some good things, some things that's going on with you, good things that's been going on this week for you, or just, overall. Tisha, oh my God. Welcome. Oh my God. I see you in the comments. Thank you. Thank you, beautiful. I appreciate it so much. It's been a long time. I'm so glad that you tuned in tonight. And again, like I said, I'm giving y'all a few more minutes before I start bringing everybody on, bringing the panel on. Y'all go ahead, share, let people know that we're on, because I think the topics that we're talking about are, they're gonna be some hot topics, okay? But I think in the single community, these are the type of things that when you talk about, not just really in the single community, but just in relationships and all of that in general, okay? So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started because we already know this time be flying. So we want to go ahead and we don't want to delay the time any longer. You guys know when I come with the crew, and all of us will be busy. We have two of the main ones here tonight. We have a guest, and I'm super excited about that. But I want to go ahead and I want to welcome Jerica with us tonight. Come on in, Jerica. Say hello.
Hi guys, I missed you guys last week, but I was able to tune in and it was such a great topic. So many great tips, so much good advice. And I'm so excited about tonight's topic. I'm so ready to get into it. It's been all over my timeline. It's bus driver topic. It's 50-50 topic. It's
you can't talk about it yet. You can't talk about it yet.
Okay. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. I'm just saying, I'm ready to go. So I'm excited to get in. So, hi, you guys.
Now y'all see how she start off. So hi you guys. Y'all see how she always coming with that little just nice and very humbled intro.
So.
Y'all know, those of you who've been watching with us, y'all already know. Y'all already know how crazy Jerky is. But glad to have you back, sis. We missed you the last episode rather, and we're glad to have you back. And of course, y'all know we always come through. We got to come through with our girl Ange. Hey Ange, welcome.
Ange.
Hey y'all, how's it going?
Good.
Wonderful.
Y'all can hear me.
How's it going with you?
I was having some technical Oh, look at the bun. We need to.
It's cute. It's
need
all
to
right.
do something with that.
Right. Rock it how you rock it, sis. Rock it how you rock it.
I'm doing pretty good. I'm glad you can hear me. That's all I'm gonna say for now.
Yeah. We're glad that we can hear you too. Yeah, of course we still working through. We still new at this, okay? So we still learning and growing together, but it's all good. You know, we make it do what it do each and every time, and we just glad to have you back with us, of course, as always. And of our friend Mark, what is it? What do you call yourself, y'all? Mark Kevin?
Mark Kevin.
I call him Mark Kevin. He calls himself Kevin Samuels 2.0.
That's right. He calls himself Kevin Samuels 2.0. Well, y'all, he not with us tonight. We miss him, of course. We was hoping he'd be on, but he's in school as well. And of course, you know, their school life, you got them papers and stuff due at the end. You know, it's the real grind. So we're gonna miss him tonight, but we are excited. We are really, really excited to have our guest on. He's a good friend of mine. Been knowing him for a few years, and very solid guy. A wealth of knowledge, just a lot. Now I will tell you, ladies, I'm bringing him on, and we know that this is a single podcast, but this young man is not single. Okay, he has a beautiful wife, and they're doing some amazing things, and we're excited to have him on tonight. Without further ado, you guys, we want you to welcome Mr. Carl Butler.
Hey everyone, glad to be here. Glad to be here with y'all tonight.
Welcome to the Candid Conversations from the Single Place. So glad to have you on. I know we've been talking about this and talking about having you on the show, and you've been, you know, a faithful viewer of the show, and really appreciate that, honor that, because I know that you have your own podcast and you do amazing things, and we want you to just share a little bit about that. Just tell us what you got going on, what you do, all of that for those who may not know.
Sure. So I'm Carl Butler. I'm an author, pastor, and entrepreneur. As Stephanie mentioned, first of all, I'm a huge fan of the show. Right, y'all are my dose of weekly ratchet and information, and I love it. I love it though. I really do. I love hearing y'all talk. See, I done started already. I'm sorry.
He done started already.
I'm sorry.
Not the ratchet. Right. We'll take it though. We'll take it.
Right.
But now, I seriously though, I do love the show. I really do. What y'all talk about is needed, especially from a single perspective. And of course, I'm married. Me and my wife, we do have a podcast called The Loveless Marriage. Sounds crazy, right? The Loveless Marriage. But we just believe that marriage shouldn't be based off the decision of love. You know, a lot of people move love as your first emotion to why you want to marry somebody. And we don't think it should be like that. You know, you can love someone and the person refuses to work. You can love someone and they are emotionally abusive, physically abusive. So marriage should be a decision based off more than just love. It should be based off respect, um, common values, common purpose. Love should be almost the last on the list to why you marry someone. And so that's our podcast, The Loveless Marriage, where we talk to singles and married people about how to navigate this thing called love and life.
Wow, that's really deep.
I
And
love
I
it.
never really heard, yeah, I never really heard you fully break it down like that. But wow, that almost sounds like a whole nother conversation, a whole nother
Yeah.
topic for another time, but it's deep. But we're so glad to have you on. And yes, y'all gotta tune in. The show, they really I know they had took a hiatus for a while, but they're coming back with it, and they do bring up some really interesting topics. And like he said, it's not their podcast is geared towards everybody, really, whether you're single, married, wanting to be married, dating, all of it. You know, they have a lot of insight and wisdom as it pertains to all of those different areas. So we're so glad to have you on, Carl. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, you got to tell them, when does the Loveless Marriage come on?
Oh, sure. So you can follow us across social media at The Loveless Marriage, on YouTube at Butler Studios Network, where we have our podcast and also other shows. And right now we're coming back Thursday at 8 p.m. So every Thursday at 8 p.m. On our Facebook page, The Loveless Marriage, and on my personal page at Carl E. Butler Jr.
Okay. So y'all check it
Now,
out. Y'all.
Carl,
Yeah.
I'm
Uh-huh.
sorry, but I didn't know. Now, I love the loveless marriage. I
Uh-huh.
love it. But I didn't know that love should be last on the list.
Listen, in the Bible, and we're believers.
In
Or, or,
their perspective.
Hold on, let them finish. You know, jerking. Go ahead, Carl.
so when it comes to marriage or relationships, love is only mentioned twice. And one of those times was Samson. Samson said he loved Delilah. Well, his love blinded him to who she really was. And so when you lead with love, it's going to blind you. It's going to blind you to those red flags. And so the other time love is mentioned was Tamar, I believe, the man who I can't say the R word, but he R word her, and he said, I loved her. And so those two instances in the word of God, those are the only two times we see love mentioned with marriage and shown examples. And they're two of the worst examples ever. So when you lead with love, you're probably going to fail in relationships. You should know that person's credit score. You should know whether or not that person wants to go to work every day. You should know whether that person was raised in a single parent home, two parent home, because it matters. Um, that person's values. So love should be the last on the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I can
That's deep.
see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. But like Jerry said, it's a perspective thing, but I can see that. So that's not what this show is about. So I'm not even going to go there.
Yeah.
But I can see.
What were you going to say, Jerk? I think we got a little bit of a delay, so that's why it was picking up. What were you saying?
Yeah. Not that I disagree with that, but I don't want to go there because that'll be a totally different. So
I think we losing you, sis. You ain't. Are you on the neighbor's Wi-Fi tonight? Are you on the neighbor's Wi-Fi tonight? You kind of going in and out.
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm on AT&T fiber. What I've always had.
It's going out a little bit. We losing you a little bit. It's chopping up.
Delay. Okay, I may have to jump laptop to my phone tonight. Maybe that's the difference, but I definitely am on AT&T fiber.
Get off.
Better or no?
It's kind of coming in a little bit better, but we'll see.
Go switch to my laptop and I'll be back.
Move on, Steph.
Look, what we do on live shows, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get her back on in a few. Okay. Well, I did want her to jump on because I'm going to ask you guys. I'm going to start off with this. and I'm going to ask a question, and I want to y'all just give me your yes or no answer, and then we'll go back around and we'll discuss it, okay? And what I want to ask you guys is the 50-50 financial rule okay? Do you agree with the 50-50 financial rule? Are y'all understanding what I'm asking when I say the 50-50 financial rule?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Angela, what do you say? Do you agree with it? No or yes or no? Then you just yes or no, and then we'll come back around and explain.
No.
You don't agree with it. Okay.
No.
Okay. Carl.
I think whatever works for that couple. Whatever.
Okay. So,
Yeah. So
yes or
You
no?
said
start
yes
there.
or no.
Yes or no?
Yes or no, Carl?
Do I agree? Okay. Do I agree with it? I'll say yes. Let's start there.
Okay. All right. Me, 50 financial rule. I say no. I say no. And I guess I'll start with the reason why I say no, and then we'll go back around. So for me, I don't agree that it should just automatically be a 50-50 financial rule, because life happens. And I think that if you limit yourself, or you just say, oh, everything got to be split down the middle, like you pay half of the bills, I pay half of the bills. Well, what happens if somebody loses their job? What happens if a person gets sick? Then is it still going to be required for them to come up with their 50% when they're in a disabled state, or just things have happened in life? Like I said, life is lifing or whatever. Are you going to still hold them to their obligation? I feel like as a team, I do agree with what you said earlier, Carl, is as a team, you have to decide what works for us. And if you only, like I said, if you only make the decision that it has to be this 50-50 split, no matter what, I think it's possible to set yourself up for, I don't know, just a headache and a lot of things that could occur. So that's the reason why I say no. What you got? What y'all got?
Okay, I'll say I agree with Carl. Whatever works for that couple, period. And I really hate this topic. I hate a lot of these topics because people be so deeply, and whatever works for that couple, absolutely. But I guess let's not say 50-50, because everybody needs to, hold their weight. Everybody contributes. But yeah, life does what it does. Everybody has their own preferences. And as far as what they want to contribute to the household, as far as what their mate agrees that they should contribute to the family, whatever. So whatever with the couple, honestly. And I say the same thing that you said. What if someone loses their job? I ultimately believe that every man and every woman should be able to hold down that entire home by themselves, because anything can happen to anybody. Now, if he's having you to pay 50-50, or if you are, wanting him to pay it all, whatever, that's y'all's business. But I believe that every adult should be able to cover the household, because any can happen. Whether that's y'all making sure y'all have a savings, making sure y'all do whatever y'all got to do to cover this home and household, because anything can happen. I have a friend who, I remember, he lost his job, and he said it hurt him so bad to see his wife having to pay them bills for those months. So you just have some men that wholeheartedly want to pay everything in their home, and you have some men who believe they shouldn't, and women who agree. So it's really just whatever that couple wants at the end of the day.
Makes sense. Carl?
Okay, so I know I said whatever works for the couple, and I do stand on that. But just for the sake of argument, I'll say yeah. And here's why. Number one, this is an argument I don't even understand. I don't understand why 50-50 rule, because there really it's not a rule. But if you're single, you're at 100-0. So if you add on somebody else, and y'all team up, y'all are married, y'all partners, husband and wife, whether it's 50-50, whether it's 70-30, whether it's 80-20, 90-10, it's better than 100-0. And so that's kind of how I've always kind of seen it. People get caught up in half and half. But if when it's the other way around, and let's take it out of the financial field, and let's say 50-50 raising the kids. How realistic is it that, okay, I watch the kids half the week, now it's your turn? And so it really doesn't make sense to me. But if whatever works for that couple, just whatever. If it's 50-50, have at it. To me, it's better than 100 is 0.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Jerka. I want to say this. Well, I'll let Jerka. I'll let you answer whatever. The question was, are you okay, or do you agree with the 50-50 financial split in
Absolutely
relationship?
not. Absolutely not. If I'm splitting anything 50-50 with somebody, I would consider you a roommate. I don't think any part of a relationship is 50-50 when you're truly all in. I think it's completely 100. But at the same time, I do think that there is such thing as gender roles. I do feel that men are supposed to be the number one providers in their home. So I do not feel like 50-50 it's sufficient for me. I can't respect a man who would want me to go 50-50. And that's just me personally.
So Carl just brought up a point about when it comes to raising the kids. And most times, like if a person was to say, 50-50 with raising the kids, most times than not, the woman does most of the rearing of the children. So if you're saying that you wouldn't respect a man who said that you have to split 50-50, would you be okay? Are you okay with a man not investing as much or whatever in rearing the kids? So, because would you want a man to be just as involved in raising the children if you're saying that you wouldn't want him to?
No, I say 50-50 financial split, but I say 100% when it comes to both people have to be 100% all in the relationship. That includes, but when it comes to financially, I don't think that 50-50 for a man to ask me to pay half the bills when, like you all said, mothering also incorporates 100% of your time, and that's mostly on the mother. That's just a natural thing. Children are more weaned to their mothers until later on. So I'm not going to pay 50% of the bills, raise the children 80% of the time, be the maid 80% of the time, and pay 50. No, that's not real. That's not fair, and that's not realistic, really. I feel sorry for women in those situations.
Sorry.
It's a lot. It's taxing, and that's coming from me as a single mother who does it all. I know the tax, the amount that it takes on the toll that it takes on you mentally, physically, financially, to put all that on a woman, but then at the same time require her to pay 50% of the bills. That's absolutely ludicrous, and I cannot respect a man who thinks that way.
In my mind, it's the require that's just the horrible word. I cannot and will not do. Where's your half? I need your half. And I don't feel like, hey, where's your half? Hey, we need the half. Like that is just a horrible way of thinking. So the require word is absolutely horrible. But in a real world, I'm contributing any and everything to my home and vice versa. I just feel like everybody needs to have that mindset. Whether it's going to bills. Me, I had this thought. I dated this guy and I was like, I really don't trust his financial, how he is financially. I don't trust it that much. So and this was a thought then, not now, if I was to marry him, I would be paying the bills in the home, but you will be paying for this lifestyle, and it's going to average out to be way more than what I'm paying, just because I had this big mindset of what the lifestyle would be. You're paying for trips, you're paying for bags, shoes for me and the kids, okay? You're paying for a lifestyle that I want, and it's going to be well more than what these bills are. In my mind, that is totally fine. I don't care. It's going to work for us. But now I'm like, no, I need some responsibility. I need you to know how to be responsible. So that's a whole nother story. But whatever works for your home, why does this even matter?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever works for your home. I just think it works best when the husband is the prime. I'm not saying that a woman should not contribute to her home. We were raised with parents who my mother was the primary breadwinner when my father became disabled. He became disabled early on in the marriage, but he did his part in the home. He still paid the mortgage, the bulk of the bill. Like, that's what I think a man is responsible for. Like, even if a woman is contributing her income to the household, I do not think she should be responsible for the mortgage, the car notes, the main bills. That's maybe a gender role or a stereotype. I don't know what the root that is in me, but I just feel like a man is responsible for those things. I don't feel like as a woman you can truly respect a man when you are paying the bills. When I was with my ex-fiance, I worked, he paid all the bills, and my money went toward the household, kids' clothes, furniture, decor, like you said, trips, things like that. That's what I was able to put my money toward, and I enjoyed that better than putting my money on bills.
I'm sure you did.
I was able to. Yeah, I'm just being honest. I don't think that a woman should be paying, if she's paying bills. I don't think she should be paying the main bills. I just think as a man, you
different day now. This is a totally different day. So I believe that is an older mindset. That is where it comes from. Nothing wrong with it, because my mother, her husband pays all the bills in the household. She pays small things. My dad, that's what he does with him and his wife. And so I see it, I love it, and I believe that's a beautiful thing. It's just like not this big requirement for me. It's not that deep. We're in a different day where women are out here getting money. And I just feel like at the end of the day, this is a poor conversation.
No, it's not a poor conversation.
At the end of the day, this is not, I don't think people who not worried about money are having this conversation. So I just feel like it still goes back to whatever works for that household.
Well, actually, that's not true, because being around or hearing conversations of our white male counterparts, this is something that they brag about to each other, being able to make enough income for their wives to be stay-at-home wives, stay-at-home moms. They consider that something to brag about, because it shows that you're at a higher economic level. It's only, and I hate to go here, but it's only men of color and only African-American men, because even African men don't do this, complain about a woman contributing, ramping so much about a woman contributing financially. They brag on this because it shows their socioeconomic level has risen to the point where they're able to leave their wives at home. And if you ask those wives, I'm sure they will much rather be at home raising their children and being taken care of if he's a respectable, honest guy. No one that's rubbing that in your face. But I'm sure they'd rather be doing that than at a call center, dealing with customers, dealing with the public, dealing with managers. I'm sure. So.
Well, let me say this, and then I'm gonna let you say something, Carl.
I agree.
But you have a date. What we're living in a day. I think I'll go back to what I said. I think what works for the home. Now, me personally, because you have women now that are making more money than some men. So what do you do in those situations? I feel now I do want a man. I don't, of course, you don't want a man that's lazy and just, you want to sit and eat off of your dime. But I think that you have to, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. You have to do what works best. But in all honesty, I'm gonna turn over to Carl. Most women, it would be honest with ourselves, I think we do want a man that's going to lead more in that aspect. Like, realistically, most women.
Absolutely.
You have some that don't mind, but I mean, I think even if he's not making more than you, knowing how to manage the household and lead and things, and if he's not good financially with doing that, at least providing in that area on a level that is suitable. But go ahead, Carl.
Okay, so it was a lot said. So let's start here. I'm a numbers person, right? I'm a numbers person. So only about 15% of people make over six figures. So to Jericho's point about hearing our white counterparts brag that their wives can stay home, it's not that many of them. And so, and it kind of shifts the conversation. We're saying white men can do it and black men struggle in that area because just as many white men make six figures, the percentage is only off by like 5%. And so there are a lot of black men who make just as much as their white counterparts. Number two, I think Angela said this is a poor, like it's a poor mindset, poor conversation. It's actually a single mindset, and that's what keeps so many people single. It's because you're coming into it saying, I don't want to give up what I have. Use what we're going to use what you have. And so when you're married, you're one. Now, when I was dating, I wasn't in the best financial position. Me and Stephanie worked at the same place. She'll tell you how much we made. You
Oh
know,
yes.
yeah. But and I had a lot of women reject me because of that, because I didn't make what they thought I should have made, and so in their mind, I couldn't sustain a household. But they never considered my character. They never considered my drive. They never considered what was inside of me. They never considered that I was a God-fearing man. And so many women are going to pass up on good men because you may have to go 50-50 in the beginning. In the beginning of our marriage, I paid the rent, but we went 50-50 on everything else. Now, my wife doesn't touch a household bill. I pay the mortgage, all the utilities, household bills. She pays credit cards or whatever. If we go on a trip, chances are she's paying for that. But her load is so much lighter because of my drive and what I had in me. Those who rejected me because it was all based off finances, they missed out on something good. And it's crazy because I can see those same women on Facebook now posting and complaining, I need to find a good man. But when we were sitting across the table at Olive Garden or Ruby Tuesday, looking at that 2 for 25, you rejected me because of my income, but God sent you a good man. And so I think this is a single mindset to say, well, if he doesn't make enough, then the respect wouldn't be there. I heard Jericho say that even with your parents' marriage, your dad had some issues and your mom had to take over, but you didn't lose respect for your father because issues happen in marriage. Like things happen. There are times you may have to go 50-50. There are times where you may not pay anything. But then guess what? Life can happen. There are times where you may have to take over the household because your husband is sick or injured. And so it's a single mindset. And as long as you have that single mindset, you're really not prepared to even begin to talking about marriage. Because when you want to talk about losing respect or what women have to bring to the table, well, in the middle of the night, if the alarm go off, everybody hides behind me. I put my life on the line for my family. There's no monetary value to that. Men don't say, okay, I'm not doing that. You go do it. Men, God actually gave us something to put our life on the line. My life is dedicated towards God and my family. That's it. And so women have other options, but men, we don't have those options. The next thing is kind of the income level. So Google it. Go to blackdemographics.com. Black men still out earn black women. The average black woman makes 41,000. The average black man makes 46,000. So we're in this war. We're in this income war, and we're only separated by $5,000, and we're still at the bottom. We need each other.
Poor. Just
It's,
poor.
it's almost unrealistic to say you can't go 50-50 when the average black person makes under $50,000 a year. So how you would have to be extremely blessed. And I thank God for the blessings He's given to our family, but people need each other. Like
Absolutely.
if you're making 40 and I'm making 40, guess what? Together we make it 80.
Yeah.
When we get paid, everything goes in one account, everything gets paid. That's not 50-50. That's 100% because it's no longer your money, my money. It's ours. It's the households. And so I think that it's a single mindset, and that mindset keeps people single. As long as you think like that, you're not even prepared to even start thinking about marriage.
Yeah. And I think that goes both ways too. I want to just say this. I think that goes both ways too, because you know, women would think like that, but then you also have men that come in with that mindset as well. Like
they come hard with it.
They come hard with, especially these days, because they feel like this idea, and it goes back to I think an episode that we did a while ago, that women are trying to get them for their money, and it's like you just said it. The statistics show like most of us are not. Most people
got no money.
So what money is someone trying to get out of you? But you have a lot of men these days too that come in with a mindset. I'm not putting my coins out there. I'm not paying for a woman. I'm not doing this. So, like you said, it goes on.
Mostly men. It's mostly men that say 50. I mostly hear men say this.
But true, yeah.
It's the women that wants the man to do 100%, but it's mostly men who are requiring the 50-50. And I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry, but I just want to say that.
No,
Carl, I believe you said exactly what I wanted to say, but articulated it much better. At the end of the day, it is 100%. Whatever I have, whatever you have, is coming to this household. However we distribute that is it, and we're gonna live life and love. Amen.
So let me ask you this. I want to say this. Would you be okay, Angela, with your man came to the table or whatever, and because I was going to say, what if he came to the table or whatever, and he wanted you to automatically, like, not saying that his character, whatever, was best, whatever, but he's automatically coming and demanding that you put down 50% or whatever. Would you be okay with that?
I'm never going to be happy with a demand of 50-50. It goes back to you requiring it. I'm scared that you can't do it alone. And I want both of us to be able to make this thing happen alone, because anything can happen. So I'm not going to like the demand of 50-50.
What were you going to say,
Joe? And I don't think I disagree with this being a single mindset. I think that society has made so many excuses for men as to why they don't strive. No. And I say this because when my father was working and my mother was a nurse, my father worked 3 jobs to maintain his level of income, to take care of the bills in the home. What man do you know these days are going to be willing to work 3 jobs to be able to provide for his family and for him to be the primary breadwinner when his woman makes more? No man is going to do that these days, because they are have been coddled by their mothers, starting with their mothers, and then they want the women to coddle them. They don't want to strive for more. They want to automatically pull you in to help lift them up. And I think that's the problem. Like you said, when you were dating, you didn't have the finances. You weren't at an economic level. Do you think that was proper to be in the dating field and asking a woman to come into that situation to help go in 50-50 with you to lift you up? Or do you think it would be better to get yourself together and then, get into the dating field? I think, and I'm not saying that's, if you know what I'm saying, like, and then you said, like, women passed up on you because you're a good man, but that's what their preference were. So at that time, you were a good man for your woman. You know what I'm saying? God ordained you for her, but you weren't necessarily good to those women, if that makes sense. So it's like, are men asking women automatically to come in with me to help build together, or are men striving to be all that they can be before they enter the dating field? And I think that's the problem.
Well, he said, "You do not die from being single. I'd rather have standards."
Absolutely. But
absolutely. What are the standards that you require to pay everything? Is that the standard?
No, and I don't, because like you said, things happen in marriage, and I agree with that. Seeing my own parents' marriage, I understand that things happen, but I think as a woman, you can respect. And I never said I don't respect a man because he makes lower income. I said I can't respect a man who comes in requiring me to pay 50-50. I can't, because when I look at my parents' marriage and the long-term marriage that we look up to or uphold, I know that sacrifices happen. You know, you have to sacrifice, but I can respect if my man was already a hard worker. He was a provider. He set things up, IRAs. He set things up to take care of his family so that if a disability did happen or whatever, I don't think that as a woman, any good woman would not be willing to step up, take care of her home, work, be the primary breadwinner if need be. And I don't think anything is wrong with that. I don't think coming in
Jerica, would
that
you
should
do
be required of a
50-50?
woman to.
Would you
Yeah.
do 50-50? You don't want it required, but at the end of the day,
I would absolutely
your-
do
would you
50-50. I would absolutely do
Okay.
50-50. No, only if I'm not going in or doing 50-50 just because. I would do 50-50 if circumstances happen and my husband asked me, well, and we strategize, say, well, hey, baby, this is happening. I need to increase your contribution to 50%, whatever, and strategize that way. But I have to be coming out of it. I'm not going to, like you said, you did with your wife. You eventually had a strategy to come out of it. But I'm just focused on the beginning, asking a woman to come in. I just think that's coddling men because they're not thriving to push themselves first before they get in the dating field and asking a woman to be subjected to struggle love.
Well, let me ask this. I want to say this. And I know a lot of times, I guess in my mind, I'm always trying to make sure that I'm fair in my assessments as well, because I know you said that a man, should he be in the dating scene if he doesn't already have himself where he needs to be. But a lot of times us as women, we're not always exactly where we want to be as well. So I can kind of see where sometimes men can feel a little frustrated about that, because it's like, of course, at society, we do expect men or whatever to be able to provide and stuff at their home, and they should. But I mean, if a man has the basic stuff, if he does, he has his own place, he has a car, he has a job, things of that sort. Should he not like try to look for somebody like as us as women? We may not have like the 6-figure salary at that moment, but we are handling our business and getting things done, and we have a good credit score, all these type of things or whatever. Should we just should everybody wait till you're at this pristine level before you get in a relationship?
A woman should not be selected based upon what she provides financially.
So you believe what Steve Harvey was talking about?
A woman absolutely should, because if you look at how God ordered things, he gave Adam a job, he put him to work, he gave him all that he needed before he introduced Eve to him as his helpmeet. He already had those. He wasn't picking Eve because she could help contribute financially. That's not what God gave Eve to Adam for. But he did give Adam to Eve for him to provide for her financially. And that's biblical. And that's the proper order of things, in my opinion.
Oh, you look like you hanging on.
Okay. Okay, so I'll start there. Adam and Eve, that's a special case. I mean, they were literally the first two people. And so, but if you read Proverbs 31, everyone talks about the Proverbs 31 woman. That woman worked, and we don't know if she contributed half. It says when she wakes up in the morning, she takes care of her family. She goes out, she finds a nice field, she buys it. She goes to the market, she sells and trades all day. She is out hustling while her husband is out working. We don't know if the Proverbs 31 woman is a 50-50 woman. It sounds like it, because she is working just as hard as her husband. And so I think with that mindset, again, it goes back to mindset. As far as the dating, when I was dating, so my definition of not being financially stable is I had a car, had my own place. I was working at the airport. I was also working another job. I was working 7 days a week. A lot of people don't know that. I worked 7 days a week for 3 years. And so doing overtime, Stephanie, like it was just in you. And so sometimes you got to look at the drive of a man. Like, this man ain't lazy. He may not be making what I think he should make, but he's driven. And so just kind of speaking to that aspect, it's almost like you kind of have to see where somebody's going, because guess what? He's looking at your potential also. And so nobody is almost ready to date. I mean, that's you're never ready. You're never ready to start a business. You're never ready for the like. You're just never ready. You just have to step out and trust what's on on the inside of you. And so, my idea of dating, I could maintain a household, but we may not be able to have a nice dinner out, except for maybe once a month. And see, and that's where we get trapped up a lot of times when we're single. We want the lifestyle instead of what God requires. Like God never required a man to provide you a lifestyle. He required us to keep a roof over your head, to put food on the table, take care of those kids. A lot of women reject men because they can't provide the lifestyle. And so if I'm taking care of the bills, you take care of the lifestyle. Whatever I don't know what my wife does. I don't know what my wife does with her check. I mean, she's responsible. All right, that's one of the reasons why I married her. She is highly responsible with her finances. But I know after her stuff is taken care of, we're going to have money to take trips or dinner or whatever. I'm not responsible as a man, as a godly man, for your lifestyle. I'm responsible for protecting and providing. And a lot of women reject men because they are only capable of those things, but that's what you should be looking for.
That's a good point. I want to bring up.
My point.
I want to make a couple. Jerk. I want to make a couple of. I want to bring in a couple of comments that are being said, and then I'll let you have the floor and everything. So this comment or question rather, Joe says. So I have a question. Is it a requirement for me to lay down their life for their family, or is it negotiable? Just a question. I guess he's saying, is it a requirement for a man to lay down his life for his family, or is it negotiable?
I'll mention that.
What greater love has no man for him to lay down his life for a friend? If you don't love your children and wife that much, then I definitely, I definitely want you to be so far away from me. It's ridiculous, because if you don't love, if you want to negotiate that, I mean, I as a mother will instantly lay down my life for my children in a heartbeat. And if I could think like that as a mother, my husband want to negotiate that as a man to his wife and children, I just think that's putrid. I mean, I can't. I don't get that. That's horrible.
He said, jerk, I love you. Don't do that. He was just
no. I'm saying, is it negotiate? I love you too, Joe. But I'm saying, is that negotiate? Like, is that something to negotiate? I don't think I can negotiate whether I would lay down my life for my kids or my family.
Yeah, I want to say, I want to make this comment or bring up this comment. So Lady Ebony, Carl's wife, said, financial conversation needs to be addressed in the beginning. I believe that you shouldn't have certain expectations if you can't fulfill them yourself. I agree with that. So yeah, I can agree with that. Like,
oh yeah,
I agree with that.
Can we dive into the bus driver thing? Because Carl
said, what we're saying is kind of leading us into that. Right. What we're talking about is kind of leading us into that. So, and for the audience, you guys, y'all, of course, let us know what y'all think and continue to bring those comments. So our next topic of discussion, and we're kind of segueing into that because we were already kind of alluding to it. This is the topic. He's a bus driver, but good character, should I pass? And basically, for those, some of you have heard about it, some may not have heard about it. The young lady, what's her name? Ebony Williams or
Ebony Williams.
Ebony Williams. I didn't look at the whole show or the whole interview, but the part that went viral that everybody was talking about, she had a conversation or interview with Iyanla Vanzant. And one of the points that Iyanla Vanzant brought up is, she said, would you be willing to marry a bus driver? Now, this is a very successful, I believe she's a journalist and all. I don't know all that she does, but she said no. She said if he is the owner of the buses, but if he's an actual bus driver, then she would not be able to do it. And of course, things went crazy. It became viral. Everybody all over social media went crazy with various opinions, because some people agree. Some people felt like she had a right to feel the way she feels as a successful woman. Then there were other people that said, why would you think that way? You know, if he's a good man, he's making an earnest living, why would you kick him to the curb? And so, hey, we already been talking about it, so let's put it out there. What do y'all think? I'll start.
Okay.
I'll start. So I think, and we've had this conversation off camera. I think that everyone is entitled to what they desire and what they want. And I think that me personally, I value character, good quality character, morals, all of that, more than money. I have encountered guys who had money, who approached me, who wanted to date, things of that nature, but I did not feel that their character measured up to the standard that I felt would be conducive and suitable for me. Because at the end of the day, I'm like, and this goes back to, I think, a previous conversation we had. I think we put a lot of value in men as it relates to their money. Of course, don't get me wrong, that is a part, but that's not the totality of what makes a man. I think character, good quality morals and values, and how you view the world, how you view women, it matters. And so I personally would not just get with a man because he has money, but his character is jacked up. He's going to talk to me crazy. He looks at me as a second-class citizen in comparison to him. To me, I would, if I had to choose, if I have a man now, there's still a certain level. I'm not going to date someone who you don't have no drive, you don't have nothing going, especially at the age I'm at now, because I'm like, at this age, if you are a thriving citizen of society, at some level, you should have something. I understand we all go through hardships. We all have, things, life like happens. And I understand that. But at the end of the day, I would consider a man who has good character and good quality, and he has a steady job. If he's reliable, he's able to balance and budget his money, and he knows how to make things happen. Because if you're responsible, you can take $100 and make it really work, and you can stretch it, and you can put something aside. If you really know, if you're really a responsible person, I would say. So I'm not going to just disregard a man just because he's not making six figures. But I do want to see what your drive is, though, because if you're not there, then are you aiming? Do you have ambition? Are you okay or comfortable where you are? That's another question. Like, would you settle for a man who, he's good, he has good character quality, but he has no ambition? He's doing pretty okay for himself, but he's not looking to go any higher. But I will say this, every good person doesn't mean that's the God person for you. So sometimes you can encounter somebody good, but if it's just not there, it may not just be there. And so you have to also consider those things as well. So that's my take on it. I wouldn't throw away a man if I feel like we're compatible, we have a good connection, things of that sort, just because.
Well, that's more than just character. That's more than just character. And I'm gonna say this real quick because I want to, before I forget it, because I want to say this before we in that last segment, and it kind of segue into this. What Carl was saying about having a man with drive and all that kind of stuff, and when you were talking about where you were, and I commend that, you know what I'm saying, and I agree with that there are women that are willing to that will look at a man and look at his drive and all that kind of stuff and be willing to work with that man. What I'm saying is, in today's society, is feel that a woman should get with the man, and a woman is entitled to her preferences. Like you said, a woman is entitled to get with a man, like you said, that can provide her the lifestyle and to provide financially for her in totality. She has that preference and she has that right. And this goes into what was said with Ebony K. Williams. She has the right to want a man that is at a financial level that matches hers. Her and a bus driver would not even run in the same circles. Her and a bus driver would not be able to converse on a different level. And we're acting like a bus driver. I worked for MARTA. I was a bus driver. And they're some of the biggest cheaters, liars, scammers, and everything else. And their salary is subpar. So you, just because, they're a bus driver, they have a blue collar job, doesn't mean that you're humbling yourself or you're getting with a good guy, because those are some of the worst guys.
I'm not saying that's not in every case. We're not saying that, get with him because he's gonna be a good quality, because you have men across the board. And you know, again, we don't want to make this a man bashing thing. You have people.
No, I'm not bashing men because it's a lot of good, and I don't want people to think that I'm bashing men. I'm really not bashing men.
You come in hardcore. You come in hardcore.
No, because it plagues me that people want women, and particularly Black women, they want us to automatically accept struggle love. I am 100% against struggle love, like you just said earlier. Somebody that can stretch $100. If you have to stretch $100, I'm sorry, you are not the man for me. I'm sorry.
That's at the place that you are in your life now. At the age that you are, I think
the age I am now, and I think if you're 25 or older, I'm sorry. If you have to stretch $100, I mean, you shouldn't be out here dating. I'm sorry. I mean, we are trying to automatically get Black women to accept struggle love, and I'm against it. Would she have asked that to a white woman? Would she have asked that to a Korean woman? Why is it that she, being a high earning Black woman, is asked would she rather get a bus driver just because he has character? I don't care how much character you have if you have to stretch $100. You want a woman of a certain means, or a woman can't respect a man, because like the Bible says, God has to command men to love their wives because love comes naturally for women. But he has to tell us to honor and respect our husband, because we have to be able to respect a man in order for a relationship to last long. You can't respect a man like that. And
well, that's you. Some women could.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so when God says that we have to love our wives, he didn't put conditions on that. So
he did. He said it's Christ loved the church.
No, I mean, no, I understand it. So there was nothing to Christ loved the church just because. Like, there's no reason for Christ not to love the church.
The ultimate sacrifice for the church.
So on the opposite end for that, when God says for you to respect your husband, he didn't put stipulations on that. Well, only if he makes 75,000, then you can start respecting him. And so we want to put conditions on things and say, well, I can't respect the person if they don't make 100,000. Again, I don't understand the struggle love when the numbers say the average Black woman makes 41,000 and the average Black man makes 46,000. Where are all these six-figure people? It's like 10% of people.
So do you think only six-figure earners allow their wives to? I know construction workers, I know truck drivers who earn less than six figures who allow their wives to stay at home. So it's not only six-figure men that are allowing their wives to stay at home. So when you're looking at the numbers, are you looking at also the $80,000, the $70,000, the $60,000? Because those men are allowing their women to stay home, but their women also know how to budget their finances so they can manage on their level of income.
Of course. And I think that's the ultimate point. A woman who can take care of the home, she can manage the finances. Whether he's making 75, whether he's making 50, whether he's making 100, it's possible for a man to work and his wife stays home no matter what they're making. But you have to budget for a lifestyle. And a lot of times that's what trips us up. I make enough to take care of the household, but some women wouldn't accept that because I can't provide a certain expensive lifestyle. And I'm using myself for an example, but that's the average Black man. And so I don't understand the whole struggle love, and because God didn't put any conditions on me loving you. So if my income drops, your respect shouldn't drop either. And so to say that you couldn't respect someone based off how much they make, not considering character, not considering anything else, just money, that is crazy to me. I'm
hoping you're not thinking that's what I'm saying, that you can't respect anybody because of their income level or because they make less than you. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But
okay. Well, it seemed like what your statement was. It seemed like that was what you were saying. But I think that that's not all women. I think that, and I guess a lot of times we, on both sides, we characterize or we generalize a few numbers because, we put everybody in this big box, because there are a lot of women who will get with men or deal with men or in relationships with men who are not, making all of this money. I mean, the circle of friends that I hang with, we're not, well, I know how Jerker comes off, but so I can't speak for her, but the rest of us, we don't just view a man just for what he can give us. I don't think
Absolutely
yeah, I know.
not.
I'm just joking. I'm just
Okay.
saying that. I know you play the devil's advocate on a lot of different things. I'm not saying that, but I think that we a lot of times we tend to generalize the majority based off of a few, because every woman doesn't have that mindset. If that was the case, you wouldn't have a lot of men out here who's financing men. You have women that finance men and pay bills for them and do this and take care of them or whatever. So if that was the overall consensus of what women think, then we wouldn't have that. But I think it's a lot of things that play on that. And it's, for one, there are a lot of women who felt like men played the game so long. So it's like, hey, if I can't beat him at it, I might as well join him and be better than he is at the game. So let me try to get something out of it. I mean, I'm just saying that is sometimes the thought process of some women who look for men who only have money. But then there's the flip side, who a woman may say, hey, I'm at a certain level. I would prefer to have a man at this bracket or financial bracket, because their experience has been, if they get with a man that's not making as much, sometimes men feel intimidated, and then they try to tear that woman down self-esteem wise, because he knows within himself he's not on the same level. So he tries to break her spirit, tear her down, so that in some way he can feel like we're at a balance. You know what I'm saying? So it's so many different things. But I want to bring in this comment. P said, would a bus driver date a woman working at Six Flags during the summer only? So I mean,
absolutely, he would.
Yeah,
A bus driver would date.
Not all.
Let me tell you something. Now, would he take her serious? That's another question. But these men would get with whoever they see fit to get with. And I want to chime in my 2 cents on the bus driver thing. In my opinion, me today, I don't mind dating a bus driver. What is your drive? What is your ambition? What are your goals? Because he could be asking me the same thing with what I got going on. But me later in the near future, just as the lady who started the whole thing, I understand her wholeheartedly. I am not digging myself out of where I'm at, striving, going higher, and dating a bus driver. Absolutely not. So there's nothing wrong with that lady's preference, or anybody's preference who have reached a certain level. Like I believe Ebony said in the comment, like, require what you can give. So if I'm here, I'm not about to build with you on that level. I have did a whole lot. So I don't have to build with you on that level, and I done took years to come from there. Amen to you.
Because I want to ask this, and I'm going to turn it over. Well, let me bring in this other comment that I see here. She says, I'm dating this guy. He is 60 and still trying to be a player. I told him to hit the road. I want to say this. So I know a lot of times men get upset or whatever, or feel some kind of way if a woman does, not accept a man or whatever who may not be on the same level. Now, let me ask y'all this. If you was to find out about a celebrity woman who has high status and is a millionaire, and this woman is, with someone who, we saying bus driver, and please, anybody who's watching who may be a bus driver, please don't think that we are demeaning a bus driver. Work is work, and when you take pride in your job, so please. But what I'm saying is, if a millionaire or celebrity woman, if we was to find out that they were, but would we feel some kind of way? Would you? I want to ask you, Carl. Would you looking like, what in the world? Because there are sometimes that women will get with a man that may not be exactly on her level, and people would judge her and be like, what's she seeing him? He ain't on her level. And I've heard men do that as well. Like, they'll see a woman or whatever, and it seems like she has a certain success and has reached a certain level of success and status. And she may get with a man because she think he's a good quality dude, but he might not be on her level. And I've heard guys say that too. Like, what's she doing with him? How he get her?
See, I don't understand on my level. Listen. On my level, to me, is mentally, or on my level is life. Like, I don't understand how, if there's a woman making 120 and she looks at a guy making 60 and says he's not on my level. Again, it's a single mindset, and it's killing us as Black people, because we're the last to be married, especially black women. Y'all are the last to be married.
60
and
and
so,
120
because of black
is
men,
kind of
it's not
not a
because of
good,
our own
that's not
doing.
a good example.
listen,
60 and
listen.
120, that's
It is
It's
almost
because
the
black
same
men, let's be
level.
honest, that's why
Okay.
we're not married. You have
Okay. So let's
people
Let
like
him finish
Pat.
his point. Let him finish his point.
okay. So let's go 120 and 45. So if that's an imbalance, you're one now. So now you're not making 120 and 45. Together, you're making 165. A man doesn't bring you down because of his finances. Just like a man who marries a woman with kids, those kids don't bring him down just because she has kids. If men openly said that, oh, she's not on my level because I don't have kids and she's got three,
Some
or
men have
or
said
or
that.
or I'm making this and she's working at Burger King. Like it doesn't it to me in a marriage mindset, it doesn't make sense because you're no longer two, but you're one. And for the whole Ebony K. Williams, because I never really addressed the bus driver thing. Why are we listening to people with no proven track record of getting what they want? You can say all day long, I want a man up here, up here, up here. But now you're growing older. I believe Ebony K. Williams is almost 45 years old. She's talked about her journey, how she's freezing her eggs. You have no track record of getting a man up here. So maybe, just maybe, your expectations are unrealistic. And that's a lot that happens a lot, especially with black people. Our expectations are so unrealistic that you're just getting older and you're not getting what you want, but you still think I'm up here. Maybe you're not, because men, we don't consider your finances.
Let's can we be real though? Can we be real? Because in my mind, I'm not thinking 140 and 60. I'm thinking more like maybe 500K plus, and this man makes under 100. So somewhere along those lines. Can't we got to be real? You're not, like she said earlier, you're not even running in the same circles. Your interest is not necessarily there anymore. Everybody has a preference, and we can have a preference. I'm not saying that's me. I'm not making 500K plus, but I'm just saying in general, I believe that's not nothing hard to ask for. I just believe people are in their feelings about it.
It is hard because only like 3% of people make 500,000. If in order for you to get that man or that woman, you have to be exceptional. And all these people are going after the 10% of people making over six figures, and you're leaving the other 90% of people who are good people, and you're never going to get it because, again, you have to be exceptional in order to accomplish that.
It's not even that much about the money for the money is a big part, but it's like a mindset thing. If I am this ambitious person and plan to be this specific type of an entrepreneur and doing this, that, and the other, and you are this bus driver, it really, other things go into play. I'm sorry. I remember Simone, whatever her name was, the people got mad at her because she's like, no, I need another entrepreneur. That's a totally different mindset and lifestyle. I believe for a man, it's more easier to be with a woman that isn't doing that. But when it's a woman doing certain things, I think it's totally different.
I think, it's two things that I want to speak to. So I feel like you have to, I know once you get a certain age or whatever, you don't want to just see somebody with just ambition. I think for you have to know what it is I can accept and I can embrace at this time or whatever. He might not be a six-figure earner right now. He may be a $50,000 earner, but if he got drive and he's been pushing himself every step of the way, and he has good character and quality, then I think that's something to look at. But going back to a point that you made earlier, Carl, you were saying how, as women are getting older, you can't just have all these expectations. Well, I kind of beg to differ on certain things, because men will still have certain expectations of how they want women to be, how they want them to look. And I think the dating scene these days is not just about what women are wanting financially out of men these days and time. And again, I don't want this to come off as a male bashing show, because that's not what the intentions are, not trying to say all men are crazy, because you have on both sides, you have women that are broken and not healed, you have men that still want to play. But realistically too, if we look at things, there are a lot of men. For one, there's definitely a divide in when it comes to the majority of women, the number of women versus men or whatever. When you look at the homosexual agenda, when you look at different things, men that are incarcerated, all of these things. So the limit number of men is different, and it's when true. You look at, and then you have a lot of men who are not. I don't know. This is just from what I see, and I mean, not just in this area, because of course we live in Atlanta and we already know what time it is in Atlanta, but you have a lot of men who want to play. The lady just said she's dealing with a 60-year-old man who 60, and you still trying to be a player. Like, come on. You have a lot of men who still want to play the game, who don't want to commit, who don't want to marry women. They rather you. I've literally had men, you want to be my baby mama? I almost said something. No, I don't. Why would I want to be your baby mom? That's not something I'm subscribing to. I want to be your baby mom before you marry me. Like, but that is the mentality that a lot of men have. So women are also going up against that grain, because you do have a lot of men that still want to play the radio. They still want to play the streets, but they want wife material. They want you to be on top of your A game. They want you. That's why women are going and getting BBLs, because it's almost like for women, it's a competition. It's like, I got to be the best of the best so that I can get a halfway decent man. And sometimes it's not even halfway. I mean, come on, we just really be honest. That is a lot of it. And I'm not saying that women are not broken, that they're not a lot of women that are messed up, because I hear it now all the time. Like, men, like, y'all think that it's a lot of good candidates for as women out here, but it's not. Y'all just think that because maybe y'all circle of people that you think. But I mean, I think it's just on both sides. We as a people have to start looking at the bigger picture, and we got to start looking at, I think it's too much selfishness involved. We're not looking at the family growth. We're not looking at our community. We're not looking at things of that sort. We're just only looking at, I want you to make this amount of money, and I want your body to look like this. And we're not weighing in on the quality of the character. We're not weighing in on all that. And granted, people are where they are when they are where they are, if that makes sense. Sometimes people are not ready. You might meet or encounter a good person, but maybe you're not ready, or different things, all types of things. But I think this will always be a prevailing argument until, we as a people come together or whatever. So that's my rant.
I think we as Black women, and I know my friend Penny will agree with me, we have to start dating outside our race. And I hate to bash Black men, but they're really almost a lost cause at this point, because there are Black men. No, Black men have turned into the white men of Black women. They are the oppressors. They want us, and the reason why I harp on, because I feel like traditional values is what built up our community. I feel like traditional values are, and the family unit, and the man providing and the woman nurturing the children. And because of today's society, women want to work. I absolutely have no problem with that. And me as a woman, I absolutely would get with a man who has good character, who's striving, who has potential, who's working toward going somewhere. But you also have to have something at this stage in my life. But what I'm saying, my argument is, why is it that we as people feel like Black women, like you just said, it's unrealistic? It's unrealistic with Black men. Let's be real. It's unrealistic to get what we're looking for out of most Black men, because like you said, most of them are looking for women that will come in and help lift them up. And as Black women, we are tired of bearing the weight, because those same men that you go in to lift up, they will cheat on you, they will betray you, they will have children outside of the marriage. All that we're acting like this stuff doesn't exist, and we're acting like we're trying to come into some common ground. Is no common ground. There is no. If we look at our experiences, Black women, we all have the same testimony. If you go up under Ebony K. Williams or any of these other posts, Black women have the same exact story, yet and still we're told that we are the ones that are not willing to compromise, even though we are the ones who most Black come up off of us. If there are several testimonies of that, but we're told that we're not submissive. We're not willing to relax
chopping up, see.
our financial standards. And I think that women's standards so low that Black men feel like we are to accept the crumbs of a man. And that's the narrative I'm sick of. If a woman wants to be with a man that has a drive, that's a bus driver that's trying to go somewhere, kudos to her. But if a woman, she said, "I work it down." But if a woman wants to have a man that financially provides for her completely, including her lifestyle, she is absolutely entitled to that. If she cannot get their own race of men, then she is entitled to a plethora of race of men. So let's be honest when we say what's unrealistic. It's really unrealistic with Black men.
I would say this, going back to what I said, I just want to say this, Card. I'm gonna let you. That's still generalizing. We can't say, because we only look at it because we are Black. But there are, and you've said this as well, sis, there are white women who go through hell with their men. They get cheated on. I will say this, a lot of them, they get cheated on, but they still able to live a lavish lifestyle. But women in all races go through, absolutely. People in all races go through. I think we're only privy to our race. But again, we can't jump because we keep generalizing everybody. We can't say there are no good Black men. And same way Black men can't say there are no good.
I'm not generalizing anybody. I'm just saying, I didn't say all. I never came out my mouth and said all, but I'm just saying the majority. And we can say from our lived experience, we're Black. So of course, how do they collect data? They collect data from people's experiences. We have collected this data. You have collected the same data that Angela has collected. That I'm sure millions of Black women have collected this same data, yet we're going to act like it doesn't exist. Yet we're going to act like there's a million 10 million Black men out here ready to be the man that we want them to be. They healing, they're going to therapy. When that's not the case, most Black men out here, if they have a little piece of change, they're out whore around. If they don't have a piece of change, they're out here trying to whore around. They're not trying to take anything serious. Not their careers are like, and the very few percent of them that they are not looking at Black women. They're looking at the mixed, ambiguous, or white woman. Let's be real. This is a real thing. And if we keep trying to coddle the situation and try to come to a common ground and, I can see your point. No, I don't see your point, because our families are suffering because we keep trying to ignore the real. Let's be real.
Okay. So it's just so much.
It's so many layers. It's so many layers. Welcome to Candid Conversation.
So listen. Let me show you how ridiculous that narrative is. White people can't dance. White people can't dance. That's what we're saying about Black men. Not all white people. Most white people can dance. Like it's just when we paint with that broad brush, it's really ridiculous. First of all, the Black woman lifting up the Black man.
Dance, so that kind of proves my point. You can kind of generalize.
I mean,
that kind of proves my point, because most white people can't dance, and that's what I'm saying. Most Black men are like that. I'm not saying all, but I'm saying most. So that kind of proves my point. We can generalize that because we have seen in our lived experience that white people. You've seen the white women trying to do the Beyonce challenge. That's the general white person. So let's be real. That kind of proves my point. I'm not saying all, but we can definitely say most.
Okay, so if I said most Black women are difficult to get along with, see, that's generalizing, but across the board, that's how Black men feel. And so, but when we say that, that ain't true. It's because no. And listen, the reason why, Black women are the last to be married. Only 1 in 4 will ever be married. Black men are just above that, like 33%. Because we marry outside of our race more than Black women. You know why? Black men are valued. The same nerd Black guy, the same bus driver that a Black woman don't want, who off the bat you say you don't respect, that white woman I know. When I was single, I dated white, I dated Hispanic, I dated Black. I just wanted to find somebody that I could spend my life with. The color didn't matter. It is like night and day. I'm telling you, it is, and from my experience, from my experience, they not arguing with you. They not. It is like night
Yell
and
until they
day.
call you a nigger, and that's been documented in several cases.
You gotta let them finish.
All of them don't. All of them don't. And so
a lot of them do, and you can listen to a lot of them testify. And the black woman that almost got killed by her white counterpart, when they get mad, they're gonna slip out the N-word, and that white woman will do that. And you can get online and look at the testimonials of black men who have the testimony of the white women calling them a nigger, because that's going to come. So you can be prepared for that. So,
I mean, again, it's a generalization, and so I don't see it. I do not. Maybe my mind isn't like that. I just don't see it. All this that the black man's gonna pour down the black woman. They're relying on the black woman because the black woman's making more. The numbers don't say that. The numbers still say black men out earn black women. So chances are when you have
but what about the black men that are not working? Are they even in those calculations?
Okay. What about the black women who are not working?
In those,
are they in those calculations?
Because I'm usually on your side, Carl. I'm usually going back and forth with Jericho, but I know it's a number of black. Come on now, you know it's a thing in our communities where
but it's both
you let
sides.
him drop you off while he's at work and he in your like that. Jericho's right now. This is a big thing, that we hear about and see daily. Now, I personally don't want to agree with Jericho because my fine good man is black. Okay.
I know Amber's the good side of me, the side that I wish existed.
But we have to be real. We see these memes, we hear the complaints, like we see this and hear these things all the time. That's why we get so happy when we see a black man with his kids. Oh, he's with his kids. We get so happy when we see black couples and black love because we're so excited to see it because of the bad that we mostly hear about.
Now, let me prove how you would rather look at memes than numbers. The CDC, Google it. True. The CDC says that black fathers are the most involved, whether they're in the house or not. The CDC has tracked this over the last 30 years. Blacks.
So, baby, so where's the CDC?
You gotta let them finish. Y'all gotta let them finish.
Listen. Y'all are taking.
One moment. Let me cut you off on purpose.
You gotta let them finish.
Where is the CDC when it comes to friends that I went to school with? When it comes to co-workers? When it comes to some family members? I'm sorry, and maybe it's just the people. I know a lot of people. Baby, where the CDC getting these numbers from? That's one thing I be wondering because I'm on numbers when it comes to that.
Angela,
that's what I do. But
Angela,
looking around is ridiculous.
Angela, you know what they mean? That means you need to change your circle. Because you are not in a circle, you're in a cage. You have caged yourself in with people with these issues. If the government is tracking numbers,
not my circle. They're not my circle. There are people that I work with. There are people that I do work for. That's what I do for work. So it's just like it's very much obvious. It's very much obvious.
It's not obvious just
and
because
then you made a point about
y'all gotta let him finish his statement.
Okay,
sorry.
It's a delay, so I guess I'm thinking I'm stopping when I'm thinking I'm talking when he stopped, but it's a delay.
Okay. So it's not factual just because it's what you see. I can go, me and my wife, we went to Evansville, Indiana. In Evansville, it's a mix of black and white. I saw so many interracial couples. I've never seen it before. Like down here, you see it kind of sprinkled, but up there, it's common. So if I'm staying up there, I think interracial marriage is common. But when I go somewhere else, I don't see it. And see, that's the thing. We ignore numbers, we ignore facts just because it's what we see. But if the CDC, who has no profit to help black men, says black men are the most involved fathers, whether they're in the house or not. If the government is tracking how much we make and says that black men are still out earning black women, we don't care about that. We're going to look at that person on TV who's making more and that black man is pulling. We will listen to Tyler Perry before we listen to the government numbers.
Not me. Not me. Not me.
It is,
I'm not
it
me.
is
Since you're talking about
absolutely a
numbers,
fantasy
okay,
land.
since you're talking about numbers and we're talking about interracial marriages, okay, if it's such a night and day and white women and other races of women are so much better than black women when it comes to marriage, why are black men, and this is numbers, they are still have the highest divorce rate among any race? Black men have the highest divorce rate among any race, whether they marry white, Asian, black. It doesn't matter who they marry, they still have the highest divorce rate. So when we look at that, can we not look at this scientifically and say who is the common denominator in this situation?
Yes, okay.
Black
You don't want to
men.
open that door. You don't want to open that door.
No, I want to go back to this.
Come on, let's go. Because
I want to go back to this point.
That's difficult.
I want to go back to this point. You said that CDC. I'm trying to figure out how are they able to determine these numbers? Are they in these homes with these people? How are they able to determine if these men are
they looking at child support payments or something?
Listen. I was trying to get a contract with Fulton County Child Support Division. Fulton County Child Support Division, and it's almost like this is Fulton County, so I'm not going to say it's all black people. But listen, they have 90% of fathers not paying who are on child. And based off of child support numbers, I'm not going to say what's black or white. I'm just going to say it's Fulton County. Okay. 90% are non-payers. So where are I always? So when you talk about numbers, I'm a fact checker. I'm not a person who just go off of memes. I will go into numbers. So where are these numbers coming from has been my question a whole lot.
Yeah. How is CDC checking this?
Some of the numbers are coming from social work. They keep a track. Of course, we know this. Social workers, they keep a track of child support payments. They listen, this stuff is tracked just because
Fulton County workers that let children die in homes that have been reported abuse 5 and 6 times. The same social workers who are underpaid and crammed with cases. How are they checking these things? Is what I'm trying to figure out.
Rabbit hole. We're in a rabbit hole.
Okay, so Fulton County is one county. I want to go back to something Jerica said about black men being the number one divorce, because they are incentivized about divorcing black men. Listen, on one of your last shows, I promise this will only take like a minute. I commented about the 1965 Moynihan report. This report tracked welfare back then. Almost every race was on welfare. Do you know the one group of women, the one race who refused to give up welfare because it incentivized them? Black women. You remember us growing up hearing the stories when the social worker came to the house, the man had to hide. Black men never left the house. We were put out because black women were incentivized to put us out. The government tracked it. I'm not lying. Go read the 1965 Moynihan report. Black women was the only group of women who preferred government assistance over having a man in the house, and we saw it growing up. The men had to hide when the
socioeconomic level of those women and black couples during that time. Do you know that's the time when winos and all this, the economic crashes, a number of economic crashes were happening to where they were not being able to live decently. And if you talking about 1965, do you think they really had the income to really say, I don't want welfare? It's because black men couldn't support the home financially after why women had to get on welfare and they wanted.
That's not true.
And it's like that to this day. It's like that. It's like that to this day. Women are in Section 8 and still housing men.
That is absolutely, if you look at the numbers, black people were the highest married during that time. We were the highest married. We were earning almost what our white counterparts were made. Because remember, back then they had Ford plants, all these plants, all these factories. We were making a great living together. Black women chose. They were the only race. They were the only group of people. I'm not just talking off the top of my head. I've studied it. They were the only group of women who chose to not have a man in the house. And it's the same thing today. the first thing we disqualify somebody for is how much he made.
In 1965, they were coming to the project. So you think they were living a high quality of living, staying in a project? I know because my mom was staying in Perry Homes when they came and gave my grandma a look. And she was married. They were living in Perry Homes.
We was together. It doesn't matter.
But they were in Perry Homes. They were living in squalor. Of course, they're going to accept help from the government. And my grandmother was married to my grand. He could not provide. This one, why
we would rather have money.
Black men were drinking because they lost their jobs at these Ford plants and all that kind of stuff. Like, they did not have the income. Women are going to do what it takes in order to take care of our children. So that means if I have to, Abraham did the same thing when he lied and told the king, that Sarah was his sister. It's the same thing black women was doing back then, but because we had to feed our children because the income was not there. 1965, you say that they had the same economic level as their white counterparts in 1965 in the height of racism? Really? Like,
doesn't matter.
Absolutely unbelievable. They were coming to the projects, giving those people there, and they absolutely needed it.
We had our own communities. We had our own stores. We had our own everything, and so we was making our own money. But just to kind of speed it up to what we're talking about now, the 50-50 rule. It's amazing how it's always a black conversation with black women rejecting black men because of how much they make. It was ingrained back then. That's the number one disqualifier, and it's really like it's mind blowing.
But we can go to this though. There are black men that are rejecting women because they don't have a certain look, because they don't have a certain, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're not a trophy piece. They're black. So that's what I'm saying. It'll always be this tit for tat. Y'all don't like us because of this. Y'all don't like us because of this. It's gonna always that back and forth. And I think that, again, the problem is we're generalizing everybody with a few outliers, you know what I'm saying, of different situations and stuff, because again, it goes both ways. And then I wanted to make up this point. You were saying how in 1965 women chose to kick men out of their home, but most women want a man, so why would they just up and just kick a man out and not want to have a man?
That's what I was about to say. So you're telling wait a minute, that's what I was about to say. So you're telling me the same women who raised these horrible men or women because they were so bitter, like they were bitter because the man wasn't taking care of the kid. The man left. These same women kicked the man out, and then they turned mad because the man didn't want to take care of the kid.
Listen,
like, I don't believe these numbers. I don't believe that story that they chose. No, I don't. Not all the time.
So you don't know that they could change the dictionary meanings.
They chose Section 8 or whatever over their man, a black woman.
The government tracked it.
That the man didn't take care of
yes, they did. They chose
lies.
They chose.
You don't think that was an agenda for the government to require that as a stipulation? The government knew that the women, they put them in an economic bind because they knew that they needed to push the man out of the home. That was a government agenda. So how are you going to push that out on? So you don't think that the reason they required you not to be married is so that they can push the black man out of the home? That was the number one reason. That was determined. That same system, if you are going to a 4-year college, they won't even give you assistance unless you're going to a technical college. That same system. So you mean to tell me that it was the black woman's fault for pushing the man out when she was trying to feed her children, and the government required this? So even in her, and this is how I know that's absolutely fake news, because even with the threat of her being kicked out, losing her welfare to feed her children, she would still hide that black man in that house so he can have a place to stay. Don't tell me anything about what the CDC of bull crap. The same government that killed Martin Luther King and everything else. I don't care nothing about what they talking about.
You just proved
he was still harboring that black man in the house.
What is he saying? We can't be these angry black women. We can't be portrayed as angry black men. We won't let
I am angry. I'm angry because I'm sick of black women going through this crap. I'm very angry and I'm passionate about it. Don't sit here and tell me that black women have suffered, have put our backs to the ground for Black men, for them to sit up there and tell us we bitter and all that kind of stuff because we're pushing them to take care of us for once. What? Take care of us for once after we done marked for once. What was y'all couldn't do nothing in slavery? Y'all bowed down to the master then. Y'all bow down to the master now. It's the same thing because y'all bow down to the masters. The scenario of what Black couple ought to be.
Hold up. We're bowing down to the masters, but Black women are the ones.
I'm upset now. So he got told that lie to about somewhere to go back.
No,
You
just proved my point. We're bowed down to the masters, but you took the government assistance. That was the master. You took the government assistance and said, I'd rather have the government. I'd rather have my master than my man.
She did not rather have that.
You didn't bow down.
She did not rather have government assistance. She'd rather her children be fed. She'd rather her man make enough money to be able to feed her children without her having to. So she'd rather her children starve so she can say, I'm not go. That's ludicrous that you even take that concept. And I'm blown away that
Black
you really
men were working. Black men were working.
Well, you got to also look at this too, and this was later on, but then you got to also, like I said, there are certain systemic things that we do have to look at that comes in on both ends, and y'all, we could go on all night. We're gonna wrap this up. We might have to do a part 2 of this. If you're willing to come back, I don't know.
How do you feel, Carl? How do you feel, Carl? Because I'm usually not trying to be this hype, but this hyped me up.
I knew this conversation was gonna get it.
I got 5 daughters. I got a wife and 5 daughters. I'm good. We can talk about it.
We're not angry back, but I'm not angry.
I'm not mad. I just want them to stop wanting Black women to settle for less. You do not have to settle for less. You do not have to settle for no man telling you to go Dutch, telling you to pay 50-50, or none of that crap. That's low vibrational.
I think that, again, I'm going to keep saying this until I'm blue in the face. You have to, and of course, we're Christians or whatever, and we do believe that, God is, if we allow him, he can orchestrate things. But at the same time, I, again, go back to saying this, and I said, we have to stop generalizing, and we have to, because at the end of the day, it goes beyond just race. It goes beyond the quality of a person. And that is, like I said, we just only looking at it, and we can only see it from our point. And I understand because we're Black, and, at the end of the day, there's nothing wrong with wanting to see your people win, or that's majority racist. But when you look at it, we're not the only ones that are dealing with, relationship issues. And this is not something that's just started. This has been generational. This has been all the way from the Bible days. I think, again, it goes to the quality and the character of a person. And that is how they were raised, things like that. And that goes beyond just race. We can't just say, because, again, our white counterparts, Asian counterparts, people, I think you said one time you saw a little Asian lady. I mean, this is, I know we don't see this. She was on the side of the street cussing her man. It's beyond race. It's the quality of a person. And I think that's what we have to build up. We have to build up the morale. We have to build up the integrity. We have to build up the honesty. And we got to first start with ourselves. We got to be honest and real with ourselves. And once we're able to be honest and real with ourselves, then we can present a better self to the world. That's male, female, whatever, because it's jacked up on both ends. That's what I'm just saying.
My final thought is,
I want to say this, lady, he just said this, Jerker. She said, okay, but didn't Jerker just say that she would date outside of her race? Then she just hit us with the slave master comment.
No, I wouldn't date outside my race. I said Black women gonna have to start dating outside their race.
Well, what that mean? You telling other Black women?
My preference is a Black man.
That's all she just said, y'all.
My preference is a Black. What does that have to do with anything? My preference is a Black man, but I'm not. What people think because it's been pushed into society that being single is a plague. It's really not a plague, because at the end of the day, I would much rather be single before I get in half of these marriages that I see, because most of them are facades. Most of these people are not happy. Most of these people are divorcing, and you know what I'm saying? So I would much rather be single and make sure that it's the right, I'm talking about the right person, before I'm getting before I marry that person. Like I have to make sure it's the right person.
I think I told y'all before, if it wasn't for God and I wanting to do things what I believe is the God way, baby, I would have me about 2 or 3 of them and go on business.
If it wasn't God-given rules,
if it wasn't God and understanding what God wants from me, like I would have 2 or 3 season of my life, and I would be going on about my business, not thinking about no husband, no none of that. Because we are in a different day. I'm sorry, it's a little wild out here. It's crazy
because they're not worth it these days. That's why we realize that it's not worth it. Most men can't compare to one. They really not. They pretty much a quarter of a man, and you're trying to piece them together to get one whole man.
We can't.
It's not even a man. It's not the man. I believe it's the women too. Like we're in a new day. Everybody is so selfish and self-centered. And at the end of the day, Black people have deep-rooted trauma that we don't even know that we have. And there are heirs of the Holocaust. They're heirs who were not involved. They have received reparation because it was scientifically proven to them that they have been affected. So what do you think has happened to us? But they don't want to scientifically prove that for us. So we have this tit for tat, this black man, black woman, all the stuff. The system did a whole lot to us. What Carl mentioned, I believe it was an agenda, but I do believe most women, they wanted their men and they hid the men. And I believe they put it out there as if the woman chose. I really do not believe that. The system has been jacked up to affect us the way that it has affected us. And I'm sure science will prove that our history has us mentally affected. And at the end of the day, it's not man or woman. The men and the women, they both jacked up.
Well, with that said, okay, Carl, you can go ahead, and then we're gonna wrap it up. It's been about almost 2 hours, but it's been good. Audience, have y'all enjoyed?
They've been catching too many breaks. Somebody they've been catching too many breaks. They almost need to get whipped in the derriere again. They've been catching too many breaks. They need to get up, and get yourself at the 6-figure point so you can't take care of the kids and stop.
You're joking now, I hope.
I am, but I ain't.
I want us to do this. Are there any more comments, concerns out there? Thank y'all for those who are hanging in here with us. I know it's been a kind of a longer show than usual, but it gets really good. And you start having these type of conversations and dialogue or whatever. I want y'all to. I'm gonna go around, and then Carl, since you're the only man on the show, I'm gonna let you close out with your last thoughts and comments, and y'all can share, what y'all got going on, different things of that sort or whatever. But I really appreciate it. I hope y'all have enjoyed the conversation. And Carl, I hope you said you
love it.
Did we scare you?
I love Jericho. I love Jericho. I love Angela.
Y'all know me, so y'all know my personality, and y'all know I'm raw, but at the same time, I'm trying to be real. But y'all know I'm a very kind and sweet person. Yeah. I hope y'all know that.
Look, we'll have Mark back on the next session or whatever, and maybe Carl, if you're able, maybe you can come back and join us or whatever. We can continue this or whatever, and because I think again, and I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let you all have the floor. I think that these are the type of conversations we got to have, the conversations, and we got to be able to, even if we don't agree, we got to understand what each other are, where we're coming from, and how we're viewing it, how men are viewing it, and try to see if there's some type of common ground. Because again, if we really look at it, and I mean, it's unfortunate, we're losing a generation. You know what I'm saying? We're losing a generation, and it's so serious. And our family unit is not what it should be. And some changes have got to be made. And that's why it's so important that we get these podcasts out here, and you have these different people that are bringing up the conversations. And hopefully, of course, sometimes when you're having those conversations, of course, it can get heated in the beginning. You're not going to understand each other. It gets frustrating. But at the end of the day, we want to get to a place where we're all able to have some commonality and some understanding. And hey, we might not ever get there on certain things, but try to get there on many things as we possibly can. So that's my last spiel. Angela will start. No, we'll go with you, Jerk, and then we'll go work our way around to Angela and let Carl close us out.
I don't have much to say. I just want to say, going back to the point I've been trying to make all night, you are entitled to your preference. You do not have to accept struggle love. You do not have to accept 50-50. If you are a woman of a certain means, you do not have to accept a man that's a bus driver just because he has good character. You are entitled to your preference. You are entitled to be provided for completely if that's what you want to. And nobody is to make you feel bad for that. If you cannot receive that type of quality man from your race of people, then you may have to look outside of your race because we have to, as Black women, open up ourselves for other races. And that's why we are last in marriage, because we only try to stick with our race and we don't want to give other men a try, even though our race has continued to fail us miserably over and over again. So with that being said, I just want Black women to, again, vet, never settle, vet, never settle.
All right. Angela?
I would say at the end of the day, when we have these conversations, most of the time it's because like we want love. Okay. We want this thing that we want. And at the end of the day, there's only one person for you. So forget the memes, forget the podcast, forget what happened to your cousin, forget what happened in your past. Like the scripture says, Eve, what was it? Eve was what? Suitable for him, whatever he said. Like, there's one person for you. So at the end of the day, you got to know who you are first and foremost. And I believe you need to understand your marriage almost has little to do with you. Yes, you have your preferences. Yes, you want to be happy. But when it's kingdom, I believe it's just a bigger picture than just you being mushy and in love. I believe there's a bigger picture there, and you need to understand that and follow what God is telling you. Forget everything else. 50-50, if I gotta pay 50-50, all that crazy stuff is for talks. And I believe it's a poor and a single mindset. Absolutely. Follow God. That's it.
Thank you for that, Ange. And lastly, Pastor Carl.
First of all, I appreciate the conversation. Like, I'm not, anybody know me, my feelings are never hurt. I don't aim to hurt nobody else's feelings. I just love the conversation, to be honest with you. And so, I just think that to Angela's previous point about we were talking about hiding. I just feel like you don't hide what you love, and so I just that's where my whole mindset. That's where my whole mindset came from. It's just that I don't want it to be a competition or war between Black men and Black women, because at the end of the day, we're all we got. Yeah. No matter how much we make, no matter what we do, what profession we in, if Black men and Black women start getting together, making these Black babies, the Black race is gonna be in trouble. And so, I just as far as the whole convo goes with Ebony K. Williams, I just want us to listen to people with a proven track record. If she was a woman who has gotten the type of man that she's looking for, listen to that woman. But we have to stop sitting around listening to people who are not wealthy trying to tell us how to build wealth. People who have no relationships telling us what we should look for in a relationship. And so we have to start taking sound advice from people who are older than us, more experienced. We have to start being sensible about what we want. I understand we want what we want, but at some point, and I talked about this on a podcast a while back. At some point, my preference was causing me to be single, because I kept running into the same type of woman I was trying to get away from because she was my preference. I had to slow down and seek God and say, God, what should I be looking for? And so that took me out of that mindset of just looking at her body, just looking at her face, and actually seeing integrity within a woman. And so sometimes your preference is causing you to be single. And so sometimes we have to change our preference and become realistic and really go to God and ask him, what do you have for me? No matter what they make, no matter how they look, no matter what size they are, no matter if they have kids, no kids, God, what do you have for me?
Very powerful closing. Thank you so much for that. Well, guys, this has been our show for tonight. With all of its highs and lows and all of its disagreements and even agreements. I hope that you all were able to take something out of this. And again, I think again, as this being a Christian based foundation podcast, is that ultimately we coming from the creator, coming from the source, he knows us best. He knows us more than we even know ourselves. And so again, as Pastor Carl said, sometimes we can feel like we know what's best for us when in actuality we're going in cycles. And sometimes we have to stop spinning our wheels and really reflect on who we are, where we are, and where God wants to take us. And that even relates to relationships and love. So I pray that you guys have enjoyed this night. And I will say this: begin with loving yourself first. And when you're able to love yourself first, you're able to exude love to the world. So you guys get out there and have a love fest, okay? I want my guests or whatever y'all to stay on or whatever, but we're gonna call it a night. Again, we love you guys. We appreciate you all for joining us. Until next time, be blessed, be favored, have the love of God in your life always. We love you. Bye.